Wednesday's back upon us, Metal Summoners. So happy to have you guys back with us. We appreciate you guys so much, and we hope you had a great time on last night's pop-up episode that we did with Whiskey Grin. So we appreciate Jim and John rocking out with us for that, as well as all of you guys tuning in. Welcome back to your island of misfit toys, man. Myself with Angel, we'll have Steve, and we'll have Bobby, of course. We're going to jump right into it, man. We're being graced by the presence of our own beloved rat bastard on tonight's episode. It's Erik Ferentinos. How are you, brother? Great to see you.
Doing awesome, Jay. I'm stoked to be on the show tonight.
Great Absolutely, man. For sure. We're so happy to have you, man. We appreciate your time. And just so we get all your fans and stuff up to date, how are you feeling physically, man? You look great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been almost 2 months since I had our little medical scare there after our Columbus show, but it's fortunate that they had such a awesome hospital there right in town where we were playing. They fixed me right up within an hour. Got 3 stents in my heart, and so now I'm actually a lot better than I was previous to that. My ticker's working at full capacity now, and my breathing's good, and I just I didn't realize I had issues even going on. I didn't have any previous stuff, but my family does have a history of heart disease and stuff like that, and that'll get you around 50. So, but it's all good now. I've been exercising, lost 20 pounds already, been taking my medication, so I feel great, and looking forward to the shows we got this weekend.
Absolutely, man. 100%. Where are you guys headed off?
We're playing the Hinckley. It's called the Rocktember Fest, and this is going to be in Hinckley, Minnesota on Friday. And Jackal, I believe, is the headliner, and then us, Quiet Riot.
Nice.
Yeah, Madam X. So it's a cool music festival going on there, and so we're stoked. I'm flying out that day. It's going to be a little hectic, but it'll be a great time. I can't wait to rock out for everybody. And then the next day, we're over to Illinois, to the theater. I hope I'm saying. But
no.
theater gig, which I think is also with Quiet Riot too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, nice. No, that's got to be really cool to play those kind of festivals. In fact, the last time that we got to hang, and Angel was there as well, is about 4 or so months ago when you and Stephen played the M3 festival again.
Right. I saw you backstage. You're all, wait, what?
Yeah, for sure.
And that was the day we, Johnny Monaco came in on guitar. He only had a few days to get situated. But he did well. He helped us pull that gig off, and it was off to the races from there, I guess.
Yeah, man, absolutely, 100%. So let's talk. We'll jump into a little bit of just kind of fun history for any fans that are unfamiliar with the story. You've been Stephen's right-hand man for 20 plus years now when it comes to performing outside of Ratt. What can you tell us, as well as the fans, on how that relationship came to be?
Well, that was serendipitous for me, being from San Diego back in 1987. He coincidentally moved in across the street from my family in Carlsbad, California, and this was at the peak of Ratt's heyday. They had just done, I think, Dancing Undercover, and they were about to do Reach for the Sky. And my mom was like, "Hey, do you know who the singer for Ratt is? Have you ever heard of that band?" I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, he just moved in across the street. Don't tell anybody," And I was like, "What?" That same year, I had just started playing guitar, electric guitar, and I was like, "Man, this is meant to be." I got to get this guy's attention, and when he would walk his dog, I put my amp in the window and turn it up, and next thing I know, we became buddies. He had me first doing some mowing his lawn and crazy stuff like that at the beginning, because I was just a young teenager, but we did end up becoming friends when he was off the road, and I had started playing in bands pretty quick after picking up the guitar, and he actually produced some of the bands, and we got to use his name a lot around San Diego. So the radio stations were like, "Oh, this is Stephen Pearcy's band." He's pretty helped, and I had a band Voodoo at the time, and we ended up being pretty popular here in San Diego. And after that had fizzled out in the late '90s, he had hit me up about playing for him. I actually took until 2001 to where he had some issues going on with the guitar player that he had, and it was kind of an emergency deal, similar like Johnny Monaco coming in to play with us. It was like, he's like, "Man, I need you out here. We have a show in Chicago. We're on the tour right now. We need you out here tomorrow." I was like, so I had nothing to lose. I remember after the show, he was like, "Man, that was great." He's like, "You can play with me as long as you want to," and that was back in 2001. And we've just had a cool relationship, and we're able to like write music together, and he's always been happy with my performances and stuff. And so why change it? I've probably been the longest running member, in the band, but I love it, and I'll do it till the wheels fall off. Yeah.
Absolutely, brother. That's awesome. Like in just hopes or potential that something like that like could happen, had you like started learning like the Ratt catalog as some of Steven's songs, like even before that emergency phone call came in, or did you really kind of have to learn on the fly as you were getting to Chicago?
I had to learn a lot of the stuff. I mean, there was a couple, I think I knew Lay It Down maybe, but not in the complete thing. I think as a young guitarist, everybody, all the kids play all the popular heavy metal riffs, and like Lay It Down's a popular one. But at the time when he was first doing, when he first had me in the band, it wasn't all Ratt songs that he was doing. He had an array of stuff. He was doing some arcade, he was doing some covers. So there were some songs I was kind of unfamiliar with that I had to learn really fast. But again, I really didn't have much to lose, and so I just went for it. And I know I probably, looking back, maybe sucked a little bit at the beginning, but that's what's cool about Steven. He really let me grow in the band, because me being a guitar player coming from the '90s, I wasn't so much a shred guy at that point. It was more like maybe Alice in Chains type, doing the wah pedal, Soundgarden, type thing. So I could play, my rhythm guitar playing was pretty well, but to step in and do like any kind of Warren DeMartini stuff wasn't really in my wheelhouse. But what a great, guitar lesson it's been. I mean, had this not happened, I probably would have never taken my playing, to a level like this. I remember the only thing weird I remember about the first show is the band we had at the time was playing all the stuff really slow, which was kind of weird. Like I had like learned it to the speeds of the record, and I think he was playing less songs and just wanted to make them last longer to like meet the expectations of the promoter or whatever. But like I remember, okay, let's do Lay It Down. I started it, and I was like, and then when the drummer came, it was like ka-ka-boom, 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 ka-boom, and I was like, oh my god, what the hell's happening? But I made the whatever adjustments and ended up getting through it and finished out the tour. I've done all his solo tours since and stuff, and we have a real solid lineup right now. We've been sounding great, I think. I don't know.
No, definitely. I mean, you being with Steven now, like just as like the core right hand man of Steven now for quite a while, like, but you yourself have had like interesting like bands that you've played with, like you've played with, Matt Thorne and Chris Hager from like, the Mickey Ratt and the Rough Cut days. And
Right.
now you've got, Jerry from Danzig fame, and Johnny Monaco playing with you from, a short stint with LA Guns, but also Enough's Enough. But so you yourself have seen like some very interesting cats and personalities come in and out of the Pearcy Band.
That's right. Everybody that's come in over the years was great players and had a history. And, I've learned, from some of these guys too that have come through. I was pretty green in the beginning, but just being in local bands in San Diego, but then, playing with some of the past players that have been in the band helped me to grow. And Frank Wilsey, we can't forget about Frankie, played in the band. He was in Arcade with Stephen. He was like a big brother to me through a lot of those years, and kind of got me, up to par in a lot of ways with how to kind of be a rock star and what not to do. These sort of things. He had went full time with Aeromyth because he looks like Joe Perry, so that's like a great gig for him. But
nice.
Yeah, Aeromyth, a premier, Aerosmith tribute band, and he's very successful with that, and they actually travel like all over the world with it. So he had kind of went his own way about a year or so ago, and had Chris Hagar come in for a bit. He ended up getting really ill out there with COVID recently when we played Salt Lake City, and he was actually in the hospital himself for like a week or something. We had to leave him behind. I did a few shows by myself, and then M3 was that following weekend that you saw us at. And that's when Johnny played with us for the first time at that that gig. So that was a little hectic, but we've probably done a good 10 shows since then. So we're pretty tight now with him in the band, nice. And we're kind of
That's awesome. Hell yeah. Is Joaquin still playing with you on the kit?
No. Joaquin is a dear friend of ours, and he's like our go-to guy when our drummer can't do the gig for some reason. But Scott Coogan from Ace Frehley fame, and of course LA Guns years. He's been playing with us. He's also the drummer that played on the last Stephen Pearcy record, To a Thrill. Scott did that for us. He kicked out the drums on that in like 2 days. I think he even slept in the studio, in Matt Thorne's studio, but he did a great job because we didn't have that huge of a budget for that. And so he came in, it's like 2 days, nailed it. But he's played with us for a long time over the years, and he's a good fit. So he'll be with us this weekend.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome, for sure, brother. Angel, let's bring you in, brother. Let's bring in the Metal Summoners. Also, Metal Summoners, keep in mind, we are live. Put your comments in. Anything that you want to ask Erik, put it on in. So when we get to those segments, we can get your questions answered by the guy himself. So, Angel, take it away, brother.
Man, I just want to say, I cannot imagine being a teenager if I have a rock star moving across the street. Just curious to ask, how was those first few days like? I'm pretty sure you could not tell anybody or anything, but
right.
Well, just what was that experience like?
It was such big, news back then. Today, I don't know if kids know the guys' names in Ratt, or whatever, but back in the MTV days of the 1980s, they were all over MTV. So of course, that was a crazy thing, him moving to the neighborhood. Like they would talk about on the radio, somebody spotted him somewhere. Well, it was a Stephen Pearcy sighting today. They would would follow him, in their cars, and he was very like James Bond. He drove like a Porsche 935. That's not very James Bond, but anyways, he drove like James Bond. And he would time his garage like perfectly to like open when he'd be zipping around the corner and to shut right as he would, and people would be like, oh my god, they would like be driving in front of the house trying to like get a glimpse of him or whatever. And as I was saying earlier, I just was like looking for an opportunity to break the ice with him. And I noticed that there were some things that he was doing, like he would go into disguise and mow his lawn. He would put on like black Argyle socks and like a weird Groucho Marx, like glasses and a mustache or something. He'd be looking like a little weirdo out there lawn, and he would also be walking his dog and stuff. So I go, okay, when he walks his dog, I'll take my amp and I'll put it in the window and I'll just turn it up so he knows I'm cool, you know. Or I'm like 15 years old at the time, you know. But that did kind of work. It got his attention. And then when I started playing with friends of mine in our garage. Our garages faced each other, so he would hear my band playing, you know, my first bands, you know, playing Metallica or, you know, whatever we were doing in the garage. I actually remember Chris Hager being over Steven's house a lot. I remember him yelling down, "Oh, look, the Rugrats are gonna jam," you know, like that. But eventually he was like, you know, let's have you over the house, because he had Chris helping him with like a home recording setup back then, and so he was like, hey, let's have those kids over and record them. So he would start actually letting us come over and record. And that was pretty exciting. You know, it was like such a big deal. Could walk into his house, had, you know, his platinum albums on the wall, and you're just kind of in awe of all that, you know, and just go, well, there he is. It was pretty nuts. I was just trying to keep my cool, I guess, back then with it, not get too nervous. And, you know, but, later when I had my the band Voodoo, he actually liked the band, and he did have us open for them and stuff like that. And he always dug me and stayed in touch, because we've known each other before cell phones and the internet and, you know, stuff like that. But he always like had at least my parents' phone number or something. He would find out where I was, because I bounced around a lot. Like I left home when I was like 17, was all over the place, but he would always find me somehow. And you know, our friendship, you know, kept going. And then, you know, like I was saying, he needed a guitar player. You know, things were done with Ratt in the early 2000s, and I just took the call. I'm glad I did. It was a life-changing thing, to be sure.
Yeah, definitely got some fan questions. Kyle wants to know your favorite song you did on View to a Thrill.
Probably You Only Live Twice or Sky Fallen. I think they're both pretty good guitar riffs at the time when I was doing it. I think I was most excited about those. And we do play You Only Live Twice live, and the people seem to be digging it. They seem like they know it. The album didn't get all that much promotion because right at the time of its release, Stephen and Juan had did their version of Ratt, and this was like in, you know, 2018, or the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. So the thing it didn't get the promotion. We didn't tour for it, which was a shame, because I worked hard, you know, to do that record. But that was on Frontiers. But he now just signed to Golden Robot.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the first thing he's doing is called Stephen Pearcy Legacy, which is going to have like a compilation of a lot of unreleased tracks of his throughout the years, and demo versions of Ratt songs and different stuff. That'll be the first thing, and then the second release will be the sixth solo album that we do, which we've been writing for that for some years now.
Nice, Bobby.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you sound good, bro.
Cool. I'm in Beantown with the Toxic guys. So
Nice.
yeah, I just had a dinner with a couple people from setting up at Fenway Park with Aerosmith and Extreme for tomorrow night.
Nice, man. Awesome. Yeah. You joined us right in our first segment. Erik was just answering one of the fan questions about what songs he liked to play on the most recent album, and he was just touching on Steven's recent signing with Golden Robot.
Nice.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Angel, go ahead, bud.
Susan from Toronto wants to know, how is your health at the moment?
Yeah.
I think it's good. I mean, I have like cardiologist appointment on 19th, so I really going on in there. But as the week progressed, I feel better. I think just my overall circulation is now working at 3 like main series that were totally blocked off, so I don't know how I didn't feel worse leading up to that, but I feel a hell of a lot better. And since then I moved in, got an awesome pad, so I've just relaxed at the beach and working on my health, and I feel great.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick it right back to Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Erik, I got to ask you. So, look, you got to handle some big shoes, and look, we, been a fan. I was just at Monsters. I watched you. You're incredible. Anybody who has to cover the two monsters, and that would be Warren and Robin, and
Right.
you guys pull it off, tremendous. But to learn those songs note for note, look, we have all been through the Wolf Marshall crap through the years and everything. Dude, how do you pull it off? How do you do it?
Well, I have to, over the years, I've caught little things I was doing wrong. First one of the band, YouTube didn't exist, so it was more challenging in the beginning. Any like tablatures out there were wrong. So I mean, there's probably early videos of me not playing the stuff as well, or kind of just doing it in a way that I was able to pull it off. But
Yeah.
after playing these songs for almost 2 decades now, it just became easier over time to where I can do it with a lot less effort. And I kind of learned their styles to where once you kind of get how they're doing the more intricate stuff, you can kind of unlock the other stuff a little easier too. But recently, I think Johnny had pointed a few things out to me I wasn't doing or whatever, and I had to kind of change it up. But I'm always learning. But the hard thing is just how amazing Warren and Robin were for how young they were. Because I mean, I'm gonna be 50 years old. Those guys were doing this when they were, Warren was only a teenager, gnarly, which I. However, he did some really awesome guitar players show him some.
Yeah.
Warren knew Jakey, who was previously ratt. He George Lynch from Dawkins. So these guys, took him under their wing. So he had the guys teaching him some stuff, and he was a huge Eddie Van Halen fan. Warren was back then, and worked hard to be able to do all that. But for me, it was definitely a struggle, to be sure. I really struggled with it for a while, but eventually you get it. Just like anything in life, if you don't give up, you'll eventually get better at it.
Yeah, but you know for yourself. I mean, to give it homage. I mean, these songs are, look, we all have we're the diehard guys who remember, Out of the Cellar and everything, and everybody, stands there and goes, he ain't doing it. He didn't hit the tap. He should have went on the 9th fret here and did that. Warren did it this way and bent
Right.
the note here,
Well,
And look, we brought up something last night with, Wolfie doing Wolfie and giving his dad props.
right.
It's Wolf.
Right. I thought he did good. I mean, considering that's not something he probably plays all the time either, but he did learn it. I happened to just see that today. I saw the 2 songs that he did, and I thought it was pretty rad that he pulled it off.
You got to think of it. Look, I'm going to tell you right now. Look, he swam out of his dad's loins. That thing should come right out of his hand.
Right. Well, I mean, and he's primarily a bassist. I mean, I know he does everything. He's similar to Dave Grohl in the sense that they're both like multi-instrumentalists, as was Eddie Van Halen. But I think Wolf played all his stuff on his record. And he actually is, an amazing musician. He's not super young. I think he's in his 30s now, right? Pretty much. But
yeah, but let's give props where it is. I mean, when that's your dad, and your
Right.
mom's Valerie Bertinelli, and your uncle is the drummer. I'm like,
He grew up with all the help you can get, for sure. I mean, I didn't. It took me longer because I didn't really have any of that stuff, and specifically, I think a lot of the shredder guitar players, one thing they all have in common is a lot of them went to GIT, which is like a guitar institute in Los Angeles, and like I wanted to go to that, but my parents like asked how much it was. They're like, no.
look, I'm up here in Boston right now. I'm at Berkeley now too. I'm working on my master's degree, so and I was over there today. I don't want to sound okay. I will, but oh my God, I've never seen more Asian guitar players than I did today.
Wow.
Like,
Right? I mean, musically, like, holy crap! Like, always the gnarliest classical musicians are typically Asian, and
I was like, dude, I'm watching this dude shred today, and I'm going, I'm like, yeah, smile at me again.
at the end of the day, what keeps me from getting like intimidated by people that are technically much better or anything like that is like really like what song did they write? You know what I mean? Like, I know I can write cool songs, and that's kind of my end. Where like I'm content with where I'm at, and what I've done, just because I can't maybe play to that level of that some of the stuff you see on YouTube. Some people doing the sweep picking arpeggios and crazy shit. But for me, it's like more songwriting and
What,
stuff.
you don't want to be a Michelangelo Beatty? No.
And a nice guy too. I have met him.
I love Michael.
I saw him once, like I don't remember. I think it was around the NAMM show, some event or something going on some years back, and I didn't realize he was standing like right behind me. And somebody mentioned that he was playing. I'm like, Michelangelo. I'm like, this guy, and I started doing the guitar,
the nitro thing,
like imitating that. And I turned around and there he was. I'm like, oh, dude, no, he was fun. He was very about it though. He smiled, whatever. That's the speed kills, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. So some kind of fun to go with and have a little bit of fun that I wanted to ask you about is I actually wanted to touch base on the 10 Miles Wide video that you did a while back, because I always thought that video was super fun and super cool. You guys did this kind of like, like mask kind of ball type theme that I thought was kind of cool. And what do you remember about that video and the theme?
Right. The video, I remember Stephen wanted to do like a Stanley Kubrick, like Eyes Wide Shut kind of secret society thing. But, we do a lot of this ourselves, you know what I mean? So it's like, we didn't, it wasn't really a scripted out video so much. Like, we knew we were going to do some live shots, and we knew we wanted to like, he had all these masks or something, and he had his now fiance Christy is in that video also, and I think she brought a couple of friends, and we put him in masks. Like, the coolest thing was like this guy was just like a limo driver or something, but whatever the mask was that they gave him like did look like some crazy, he looked like a James Bond villain or something. It had like a weird light coming off it, but that was all like props that Pearcy had around, and we did just a couple set changes in this warehouse in LA, and then Tommy Asakawa from the band Warrior, he actually filmed a lot of that. It was his team that came in, and he did us a solid and gave us the friend rate, And I remember just doing the shoot, and then he had did some cutaway stuff in post-production, and that was it. That's what I had. My record.
For sure. Absolutely.
Wait, Jay, before you get into it, and this has got to be, I'm going to make him choke before he drinks right there. So
Oh, Jesus, Bobby, don't hurt the man.
The big thing about M3, look, the big comments were around, and everybody kept asking, look, I was with Mark Weiss, and Stephen came in, But Stephen and JC, those pants were just a little tight on both of those guys. And I swear we could tell religion.
Oh wow,
that's hilarious.
I think Christy makes a lot of Steven's wacky clothes. He's just seems pretty well.
But we all kept looking over, and we're going, all right, is this the zucchini show? I'm like shooting up front, and I'm like going, dude, that's gonna poke my eye out.
Yeah, I don't look at guys' crotches, so I don't notice those.
Well, that's because you guys are side stage. I'm like up front shooting. I'm
Yeah, Bobby, I can tell you're all torn up about it too.
Funny second, one day backstage, and Johnny Monaco was talking to me, and didn't realize that he had like a full blown banana that he stuck coming out of his fur, and he's just talking like, "Hey man, so how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty good." And this and he's like, "Yeah." It was just weird. Like I felt like an idiot because I didn't even notice he had that like going, too something.
Well, me and Kara were shooting up front, and she's like, "Wait a second, who's bigger, Steven or CJ?" And I'm going, "Oh man, why are you asking me?" I'm like, "Well, you got fire hose, and then you got the rat."
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, house.
In front of a bunch of people, sometimes you could shrivel up or something in front of people.
Oh, well, it's always back for more.
Exactly.
That's what we get them back for more with our tight pants.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon.
You just gotta be careful with that slip of the lip, Tommy. You're like, come on,
whoa.
Dirty job, but somebody's got to do it.
Exactly, for sure. But it seems like Erik earned his way into the fold very gently.
Yeah, we've had our fun over the years. I'm pretty good boy these days, though.
Absolutely, bro. So you were talking in one of the previous segments about like writing cool songs and stuff like that, which I think is cool. So like, how has it been like for yourself? With how do you like to write the songs? Both like with Stephen, but I also assume that you probably like to do some writing on your own as well. With just what kind of gets your itch kind of scratched. Like, talk a little bit about your songwriting.
Well, what's cool is like when we do this solo albums, they're not Ratt albums for one. So we could be a little more versatile without people getting too up in arms about it. Like Ratt has to, I think, stay in a certain direction with, to keep their fans happy. But with the Stephen one, we kind of get to exercise our different influences, Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith and all these different things. So when I write, I have a home studio, and I'll work up the music part of it ahead of time pretty well. You know what I mean? Like if the riff, if I can hear his voice doing something over it, I'll send it to him because I'll be like, I think you can do something. Now, a lot of time might go by between me sending him the idea. I might even forgot I even sent him something. You know what I mean? But I always try to be doing that. And so I'll send him dozens of songs and what have you. And then when it comes time to do the record, he's like, "Hey, we're doing a record." And then he'll say the songs that he wants to do. And they'll all be the demos I gave him. And in some cases he has vocal ideas for it. Some cases he doesn't, or whatever. But that's where we put our backs against the wall. We've done all the solo records at Matt Thorne's studio in Burbank. And we'll just kind of go for it. Like, especially, View to a Thrill. I remember because we didn't have as much time to do that as we, Smash, we had some years of doing song ideas to like put that together. But View to a Thrill was the first time you have a deadline to then release this second album. And I remember going in there, and we had no idea what the lyrics were going to be or the melody lines in some cases. But, we're a great team, Stephen, Matt, and I, and we just hunched down and made it happen. We're vicious when you corner us. You know what I mean? But I know there's a lot of bands that take forever working all that, and a lot of bands that maybe change their songs a bunch of times. They're never happy with it, and they keep changing it. We don't have time for that. You know what I mean? We just we just make it happen, and this is whatever happens that day is what it's gonna be, you know. And that's how those records are. We don't rehash the stuff. There's really not time for it. Most of the working up of stuff I do ahead of time musically, and then with the vocals and melody and lyrics, we kind of do a lot of that right when we're in there. So we got that pressure to deal with, but it's worked out.
Nice, man. Nice. Fans, don't forget to put your comments and your questions in, because after this next question, we are going to kick it back up to Angel to get involved with his next series of questions, as well as you guys, of course. So make sure you get your comments in there. But Erik, just out of curiosity, I'd always kind of been curious about this, and I'm sure you probably covered this at some point in previous interviews, but I just find it interesting for our show. So you were roughly, you were coming up near 10 years working with Stephen at the time that Infestation came out, which was the last Ratt record. Were you ever in consideration of being in the spot that Carlos Cavazo was in Ratt around that time? Did you ever have that conversation? Or if you didn't, and had it been asked, would you have been interested in being in Ratt as Ratt?
No, I would have. I would have totally loved that. And I did get considered in the sense that I think all the guys in Ratt at the time that they were looking to replace John Corabi, I think was what was going on. I think John was leaving the band, and this was in 2009. So each guy had their people that they wanted to try out or what have you. And I was Stephen's pick at that time. So I do remember driving up there in my beat up pickup truck there, and I got to actually play with Ratt with Warren, Bobby. Robbie Crane was the bassist at the time.
Oh.
So I remember going up there, and I was hearing some people that tried out before me, and they were just mostly just playing about one song with the band, and then they were, thank you, goodbye. And I do remember when I went in that we played for a long time. We played for like probably about 2 hours. Not with Stephen. Stephen had split, but it was just me and the band, and we just went through all the songs. And I remember Robbie was like, oh, dude, this is gonna be so great. It sounds awesome. You're in, this. And I was like, hey, hold on, don't jinx it, Then all of a sudden, Carlos Cavazo comes strolling in, and he and Warren are obviously close friends for a very long time, and they gave each other a big hug. And I kind of knew right then, I'm like, oh man, Carlos is such a bigger name. He's got the long blonde hair. I'm like, I'm not getting this gig. I kind of knew right then and there it wasn't going to happen. I had to throw my stuff back in my truck, and just head back to San Diego. But I think around that time I went and I played in the band Earshot for a brief period. And Stephen was still doing some solo stuff, but definitely for the next few years, Ratt was his main focus. So there were some years there of my tenure in the Pearcy Band where there wasn't a lot of work, coming in. But, you learn to live frugally and get by. And he'll always have a solo career as long as he chooses to. He's one of those, he's the voice of Ratt, and the singers those types of guys can do that forever. They can do the reunions with their band, but they can also continue to go out with their paid guys and earn a living, outside of that. And I've loved the living that he's given me, the last 2 decades. I can never thank him enough for that. It's been so rad.
Absolutely 100%. And I mean, who knows, there's definitely no necessarily like that opportunity could still kind of be there. I didn't know if you had seen this recently, but I noticed it like within the last week. It just came across on one of the charts, that one of the sites or something, that I guess that Bobby had mentioned that he feels that Ratt owes it to the fans to reunite at least one more time. So if the guys are able to kind of, come to an understanding, come to an agreement, who knows, there's no, I guess, full on guarantee that Carlos would definitely jump in it as well. Cause I know he's been doing some stuff with Rough Cut and stuff recently too. So who knows, Erik, there's definitely still a possibility, and that could be cool.
Possibly. I mean, honestly, like I really, after a couple times that I've been considered for that group, I just don't think that's ever going to happen, and I'm okay with that. I've always been totally satisfied being Stephen Pearcy's guitarist. Like I'm not a greedy guy. I mean, I think I was blessed just to have that, you know what I mean? And I definitely, the whole dynamic would be way different if I was playing in that band. Sure. You know, the Stephen Pearcy band's just like really laid back. I mean, we don't rehearse, we don't, you know, whatever. It's probably a whole different animal playing in that band, and there's always a ton of drama going on that I probably wouldn't be happy even being a part of, you know what I mean? Yeah. And now I don't know how solid that is. I know those rumors kick up, and I'm sure they will probably do something at some point, you know what I mean? A final cash out or what have you. But the volatile relationships that are within that band, man, I don't know. I know Bobby just went out and said something like that about doing it, or, you know, everybody's on board except for this and that. Like I wouldn't really trust it. Says,
you know. Hey, Erik, let me throw a couple other things out there, you know, to your credit. What about you know, In Your Face, some of the background stuff that you've done that, you know, are you know, Dead and Breakfast?
Dead and Breakfast. That's funny. I don't know how that comes up. That there's a friend of mine, Tracy, that some years back was in film school, and I think that was her horror movie that she had put out. I don't think that was like a major release or anything.
Dude, I love that movie so much.
See, this is the stuff I want to talk about with you, man.
There's some other movies that we've had stuff in.
How did you know, did all this, because your compositions and that, you know, look, dude, I want to give you some props on some of your stuff. Dead and Breakfast, you know, that In Your Face, you know, and, you know, that's amazing that you
remember what I did on that. I know I did something on that. I don't even remember much about that. I do know she was a dear friend of mine and was, you know, had asked me to help her on something. I mean, probably the more, you know, known movies that people might hear me playing, or when we redid some of the Ratt songs.
Yeah.
Early, when I first joined the band, we did was for oh shoot, now I'm forgetting the name of the record company or whatever. But we had basically within 2 days re-recorded all the Ratt songs, like 20 of them, not all of them, but most of the hits, and we had like some come in. George Lynch did some stuff, Tracy Guns, and I did all
it is.
Yeah, there you go. Wow.
1 second, hold it up while I nope, not that guy, but this. Hold on.
Make me big, Angel.
I don't have that kind of magic. I told that to Bobby last
Erik,
night.
Look, I told you this is going to be that interview. We dig deep. We find the stuff. We find all that naughty stuff. You know, look.
Love. Oh, trust me, this was not going to go untalked about. I love
that's so cool.
I love this movie.
And Jay and I were talking about horror movies today, and it was a lot of things. And when I seen this, I'm going, oh yeah, I got to bring this up with Erik.
Have you about Utopia? Have you seen?
Sorry,
which
Erik,
one?
say that again. You cut a little bit.
Camp Utopia.
Oh, Camp Utopia. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I don't have a copy of that one, but I have seen it.
I do. Yeah, kind of like a Friday the 13th type movie that Stephen did at a really bad point in his life or whatever. But this is like plays a guy named Timothy Bach, who's like a cult leader, and he ends up a bunch of people's heads off at the camp machete, and it's kind of cool. I remember I made like a fan video for it where I for one of our songs where I cut up all the scenes he was in. I kind of put in the video. Trying to think what I'll remember what the song's called. Look it up or whatever. But
God damn it, I wish I would have seen it because we should have thrown because you seen the shit they did to Karabi at Monsters when they were putting the Bigfoot and the unicorn up on the screen when Karabi was playing.
He was doing an acoustic thing, right?
Yeah, and they threw, and you know he hates unicorns.
Oh, does he?
Oh yeah, they throwing unicorns up and Bigfoot behind them and everything. It was funny as shit.
That's great. That was so fun. That Monsters on the Mountain. That ended up being a great time.
You know, it was. You know, next year I think the four of us are going to go down.
Yes,
I think what Larry
definitely
did
going.
down there is the cool thing. That venue is amazing. The town is out of this world. It's just, it's the most fucked up. It's the trippiest.
Bobby, was that real? You posted a video about a bear. I just wondered if that was real.
No, that was the bear in the parking lot. Yeah, that was right behind because I was shooting with Mark Weiss.
That was real?
Yeah, that was a bear in the and then I put the whole Pantera walk when the bear was going across.
They have a giant like King Kong too in their downtown that's like attached to a building. I posted it on my Instagram, but that was pretty phenomenal too. It's like,
look, yeah. I'm with Brett Fitz at midnight. I had drunk Dolly Parton, eaten my pizza, that thing, and Mark's like, "What are you doing?" I'm going, I have the trash Dolly Parton at Slice across the street eating my pizza. And then his son is telling me whose girlfriend's a porn star. I'm like, I'm just going, yeah, I'm in Gatlinburg.
Yeah. It was awesome, man. I hope they have us back next year. That was a ton of fun and such a cool place. I know that Jerry, our bassist, found a bunch of cool spots there to take photos. He's like the king of finding rad places to take pictures in front of, you know, like weird churches and just backdrops to, you know, in the town that he got a bunch of good stuff over there.
It's definitely, yeah, it was great. And you guys, like I said, it was that venue, and Bradley was down there, me and Brad and everybody. It was, I think the cool thing is nobody's doing anything like that anymore. Nobody's doing, you know, it was kind of NAMM-ish, but it was kind of the Hilton version of NAMM. I felt like I was in for 3 days, and I'm like, this is a cool hang.
Well, this this gentleman does was it Larry Moran? Is that no?
Yeah, Larry does the Monsters Rock cruise.
Right. Which it's cool he did that because we're not even allowed on the Monsters Rock. Well, maybe we are now. Hopefully they're changed their roles and stuff so they can accommodate us.
It's like, but getting back to your doing, you know, aside of Stephen stuff and doing, you know, music and that, and somebody asked you to do the horror movie. I mean, how did you like doing composition music?
I thought it was pretty rad. I mean, the people that do that for a living, that's all they do. I mean, you have to really put yourself into that sort of thing. And you know, I like doing all different stuff. I don't think I could just do that full time. But it was interesting to do. But I think mostly for the most part, I predominantly just try to write rock songs, mostly for Pearcy. You know? But I'm always trying to come up with tunes. And like I said, I have a home studio here, and I pretty much just doing rock style compositions for the most part. But it is fun. Like if I was going to do any kind of soundtrack, like scary movies would be the funnest, you know, to do creepy sounds and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you know, look, you look at people like John Five, you know, there are, and who was it? Oh shit, Lizzie this year at M3, who,
right.
You know, look,
Lizzie Borden.
Yeah. Oh my God, what an amazing.
He's cool, man. He's friends with me on Facebook or whatever. He has some crazy masks and.
Oh. Dude, I'm telling you, I mean, there are things that are sick and psychotic. And I sat there and shot in the front row, and I've never had my mind blown. I didn't know. I'm like sitting here going, dude, you're just like ripping my head off right now.
I love all those kind of heavy metal shows. Yeah, Lizzie Borden, Wasp. Wasp is going to be coming back around.
Yeah.
Doing a U.S. tour. that stuff.
Well, we just talked today, and Jay just mentioned he's going to be shooting. Merciful Fate's coming out with Creator. They're going out and they're doing a short stint tour.
Nice.
Should be.
It's like Headbangers Ball all over again in 2012.
And it's awesome too, because Tuesday the 8th of November is the Merciful Fate show, and then a week later on Tuesday the 15th in Baltimore is Wasp.
Rad.
I was like, oh my god, that's like the best 2 shows in like 1 week ever.
Light on here and started getting dark.
No, totally cool. Absolutely. Angel, let's kick it up to you again, my bro. You and the fans.
A lot of fan questions.
I just had K-Fig walk by and give me the finger. I'm like sitting here going, really? You can't jump online?
Sorry, Angel.
That's okay. What are your favorite songs to play live and your favorite Ratt songs to play live?
The ones that get the biggest reaction are usually my favorite. So Lay It Down, Round and Round are probably the most fun, just because everybody they're all out of their seats at that point and the fists are in the air. So I'm going to say those 2, Lay It Down and Round as being the most fun Ratt songs to play. And as far as soul stuff, as I was saying earlier, Prize That People Know Only Live Twice. We've been throwing that in the set. And that was
Which one?
Oh, You Only Live Twice.
Any deep cuts, Eric, that you ever sit in? Like, I'm Insane. Have you guys ever dug deep and gotten some really deep, B cuts?
We do I'm Insane. We do we do stuff off the EP, Ratt's like first EP, which the hardcore fans know what those songs are, but not everybody knows those. Like, especially if we're playing like a festival or something like that. We do You Got It. We do the original version of Back for More.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like, wow.
All this extended sections in it and stuff. Let's see. I already said Sweet Cheater. And then we do a lot of stuff off Out of the Cellar as well. We're always looking to add a few songs too. I think actually on this last break, we've been going over some other songs, Morning After, In Your Direction, stuff like that we're going to start throwing into the set, because now that we're headlining bigger shows and they want us to play longer, like when we only have like 75 minutes, there's only so many songs we could play, but when it's like 90 minutes, then we can kind of dig a little deeper and pay greater homage to Stephen's career, even do some arcade and whatnot. Well,
I'd love to see you guys do Shame sometime. I think that would be a lot of fun.
And dance. I gotta say, look, the Eddie Murphy movie, when Golden Child came out and you hear dance and it's just like, it's just, but I gotta say, is there a song that you sit there and go, fuck, that's gotta be the hardest goddamn thing I do. You're 50 years old, I'm 58, you go, my fingers don't move that way anymore.
Yeah. As a guitarist, I don't have too much trouble, performing any of the songs that we do, but I kind of take that stuff into consideration before it even goes into the set. Is this something we could do justice, this song? Like, cause there's times where it is more of a studio production, especially if Stephen was trying to like really push himself back then in the 80s. I mean, that song Dance, he's really up there. Like, if you listen to it,
oh yeah,
but
what a great song. But what a great song.
The beginning of it's so cool that the whole intro to the song. We talked about even doing like medleys of stuff, maybe whatever, but we take all these things into consideration. We put it in the suggestion box, put it in the box,
the meat grinder.
Yeah. But we, for the most part, we try to do stuff we think we can pull off without sounding too atrocious.
Nice. That's awesome. Go ahead, Angel.
What music do you listen to?
I would say, in the last like 2 years, I've kind of gone back to like just listening to really old classic stuff, from the 60s and 70s and maybe the early 80s. Like I don't get into too much new music, but I find myself, getting comfort from the stuff I listened to growing up as a kid. So, after a long day, if I'm having a drink or whatever, we tend to throw on some old classic, listen to the Rolling Stones or whatever, the Clash, Bowie, all this stuff. I mean, just old stuff for the most part.
And cool question from Julie. Says, you said you were recording over there in your early bands. Did you put any of it out?
Yeah. Well, the band Voodoo, we had put out a couple records, and back then it was a whole different deal. This was before streaming and all that, so we actually sold CDs, and we had different record stores here in San Diego that aren't even around anymore. The Warehouse, and we basically independently sold like 5,000 records here in San Diego in the 90s. The band Voodoo that I had, and we basically had a lot of stuff on consignment, and each one of the band members was in charge of going to those stores and restocking the records and stuff. And we had a lot of radio support, so they would. What's now Rock 105.3 was Rock 102.1 all through the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And they play the crap out of that band back then. We had like, I think at one point we had 10 songs, different songs that had been in their regular rotation. So there are CDs, floating around. Currently, I don't know where they would get that, but they're kind of out there. The band 13A that I played in, there's some videos they can look up, and that had members of Asphalt Ballet. If anybody remembers that 80s group, but we had records out. But mostly, I'm going to be known and remembered for the Stephen stuff, and that's probably the most distribution that anything I was a part of was playing for Pearcy, specifically the stuff on Frontiers Records, Smash and View to a Thrill.
Well, what about 80 Division?
Right. I never got like a full-blown record deal with distribution or anything. I was just, I spent probably like 5 years trying to do that band, and this was like a more industrial goth type thing in the mid 2000s, and it was cool, but it was tough to it just wasn't going my way, to be honest. For one, people's expectations was thinking that whatever I was doing was going to sound like Ratt, and that did not sound anything like Ratt. So as far as the audience that I had just built up with Stephen, they didn't like it, and going back at a local level and trying to break your band is like one of the hardest, most depressing things, anyone can imagine, like where you're just, just to do a gig where you're not having to pay to play, just small little venues. I was having trouble just keeping a solid lineup of guys to play the songs I was writing.
Well, so what about 13? I'll even go deeper. How about 13A that you were in?
Right. That was like right at the end of the 90s. We had won the Miller Genuine Draft Battle of the Band. The band had a couple of independent releases out, and then the singer Todd ended up moving away, and that kind of really sunk things. But right after that, I got the gig with Stephen like a year later, and so that's kind of been my life for the last like 22 years. Was mostly just trying to be ready for when Stephen was going to be going back on the road or had a record to do. So, I mean, that's taken up most of my life for the last 20 something years. There was some downtime, like when he was doing the Ratt stuff, when I went and tried to do the Anti-Division. There was a couple stints I did in some other bands, Earshot. I was with the guitarist Marzi, who played in the Illegals with Phil Anselmo, me and Marzi band. Earshot. I back right before the shutdown, played for Bow Wow Wow, which was a weird gig to do. But it was also a lot of fun, and it's cool, like as a musician, to kind of challenge yourself sometimes and go out of your comfort zone. Where all of a sudden I had this big old Gretsch guitar, hollow body guitar, the tiny little amp, and I was playing with Lee Gorman, and we did this tour for what was it, Live Nation, Totally 80s tour, which I guess they've been doing that for some time. It's like the Motels, Bow Wow Wow, and When in Rome. And I guess this thing's been going on for years, but for 2020, they had hired me and the singer Dinsey to come in and do that band. And we went out and did the tour. And it was cool just to get back out there. Because again, this was like 2020. Stephen and Juan were out doing ratt, pretty much sitting at home. So it was like, I had nothing to lose. Went out and did it. Fun, but then everything went to shit, and the shutdowns happened. And by the time things opened up, Pearcy was done with Juan and doing that gig. Wanted to go back out solo. So fortunately for me, the solo band fired back up, and we were playing a lot this last year, doing big.
But Erik, you got to say the really cool thing is I mean, you look at your catalog, and we brought it up with Jay. Everything from you doing rockumentaries and horror movies and this, you've never been one to sit there and go, you know what, I'm not going to settle for just this. And you didn't just rely on your laurels of just relying on Stephen. So, which is, kudos to you, brother, for all that, and we love Stephen, but I love that you didn't sit there and go, you're not like the bitter guitar player who sat there and went and go, well, Stephen's not doing it. And you got pouty face and you're going, all right, man, I got to go out and.
No, I got bills to pay. The thing is though, as I said before, like Stephen, it's hard to top that gig. You know what I mean? Playing for somebody who's, sold over 10 million records, that's, especially at my age, it's like, there's a lot of competition out there, and typically even known bands will choose somebody they can get for less money or what have you. I'm like in a weird spot at this point. You know what I mean? Like doing anything else will probably be a pay cut, and it's not Steven. Like, again, he's the coolest dude. Like at the end of the day, like you had to have a boss that cool. You're never going to have another boss as cool as Stephen Pearcy. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. And I've got a whiff of that, playing it where, I wish I could say it all ended on good terms, the other gigs I was doing, but it didn't. And I don't think it was because of me. I'm a pretty cool guy. Me and Pearcy get along. Pretty sure it's them. And it's usually over money, like not paying much, really, or trying to just exploit their musicians they have at the time.
Yeah.
But Stephen's always been very fair and actually very generous, personally, throughout the band's history. So it's like I said, it's going to be hard to do anything else of that level. And I'm glad that I devoted all my time to him, because it really has paid off, and I got to kind of live the dream in a way, even though it's not the 80s, anymore. I'm still, finding myself playing, big festivals with him and having these great experiences that I don't think would happen otherwise. So I owe him a lot.
For sure.
Very cool. It's great. And we love that. Like I said, I love the diversity of everything you've done that we brought out, and, we probably exposed a lot of people here tonight to a lot of people who kept thinking you were under the shadow of, and I don't want to sound negative, but under the DeMartini shadow. And I'm going, dude, this guy has really got a lot of shit out there, and it's amazing. So go check it. That's why I wanted to dig deep.
Oh, yeah.
Fine, man. I mean, and again, I think that there was in the beginning a lot of issues with that, because Warren has so many fans from back then, and it was difficult in the beginning. I think it took like actually recording records with Pearcy for people to start kind of treating me like my own person. You know what I mean? Like and I'm not a Warren DeMartini impersonator. The only reason why I kind of can pull it off is because I've been trying to do it for so long that I'm finally kind of getting his deal after all these years. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of want to be known for being myself, and I know I also don't look like your typical 80s guy up there. There's definitely a lot more people with like mohawks, these days, but it was kind of a shock to the Ratt fans in the beginning when Stephen had me. They just didn't get it, or they just assumed I don't like that sort of music. But I grew up listening to heavy metal and Headbangers Ball and all that. I was definitely an 80s kid that loved all that stuff. I might have only been like 12 at the time that Round and Round came out. I still loved it, the whole vibe and the aesthetics of it all. And the 80s looked so fun, and it was so great for guitar players, which the kids today I think are finally figuring out that their music is shit, for the most part. It doesn't even have guitar in it. Like, fuck that. And they're tired of it. Like, I'm seeing it start to happen. They're like seeing how cool the guitar is, and I'm specifically seeing like a younger generation of kids. I don't even know what their generation is called right now, but like kids under 15 I see their videos on there, and they're learning how to play all these old songs, and they love it all. And you see like shows like Stranger Things turning them on to these songs, whether it's Ratt, they've Stranger Things put Round and Round in there. They put Metallica, Master of Puppets.
So, Erik, I want to throw this out. So, we had the opportunity at M3, and I got exposed to a couple new bands there who I really got charged to hell up. One was Cody Parks and the Dirty South from Nashville, who came out and, was Pantera meets, Johnny Cash, and those guys are amazing. Then right up here in the Boston area, you have a Bad Marriage, who really has been kicking my butt across the stage.
They're great.
And Mike and I just talked to Mike tonight, and but I'm like some of the new bands that were on the bill down at Monsters. I was just like, yeah, I love this. I love the vibe. I love where it's coming from.
Yep, there has been some great. They've been regional for a while, but they're getting known more on a national level. Bad Marriage being one of them. They've played on a few of our shows this year, and I loved it because it's one thing when you're playing a gig and they have like some local band opening up that maybe isn't that great or whatever, but when they get a band like that to open the show, everybody has such a better time because they kick ass. It just makes the whole night.
Well, Mike just texts me right now, and he loves it. He's watching the show tonight, and he loves you and loves everything you're doing.
What's up, Mike?
And those guys, we're going to have them on really soon here. But Cody Parks, Dirty South, those guys. I mean, I went down there and I kept going, oh my God, here's a band. And, I'm like, two bands that I just walked out and I'm going, wow, I had my butt kicked across the room.
Tommy Skio has a good band too, and I'm spacing out their name.
Resist and Bite.
Resist and
Yes.
Yeah.
That they played with us too, and they were great too. That was another awesome band. We're like, man, we should do like a tour and bring some of these guys out, with us.
Well,
I love Nathan's tone, man. I think his tone is just great.
Yeah.
So, Erik, we had a band on last night, and these guys are from South Jersey, and they sound nothing like any three-piece Whiskey Grin, and they sound nothing like anybody. And they'll come out and they'll kick you in the nuts right across the stage.
Nice. I'll check them out. I was going through your channel today, and I saw a thing for them.
You look at it, their drummer was the old drummer for Ivory Tower up at, the old, and it's just, these guys are that, gritty, dirty rock and roll that just make you want to go out and go, okay, yeah, I can give me a fifth of JD and just keep partying with Stephen.
Yep.
That's how last night ended up too.
Yep.
Yeah, we did drink a lot last night. Then I had to get on a 5 o'clock flight this morning here.
Yeah, nothing like being buzzed and reading comments.
Serious. But I'll also tell you, Erik, it's like you were talking about like bringing in like you know, the new wave of like fans with like the old school of music is like, for example, that John Cena Peacemaker show did a lot when it came to that as well, because like if you watch that show, it's just nothing but those with those bands, like because it had like Pretty Boy Floyd and like Cinderella and Ratt, and all those bands were all being referenced in the show. And it was funny because my buddy Ron, I binged it with him. He had already seen it. He's like, dude, you need to see this show. It's like nothing but like these 80s bands. So I was like, all right. So I came over, watched it, and sure enough. But the one thing that was really funny about it is I was probably driving Ron nuts because I'm also a huge fan of like Finnish and Swedish rock, because those bands are just amazing. So I'm watching this show, and then all of a sudden, like the opening intro is from Wigwam, which is a band from Norway. And I'm like, wait, how did they even find those guys? And then they're playing stuff for like the Cruel Intentions, and I'm like, oh my god, it's the Cruel Intention. Then the last thing they played on the last episode is Hardcore Superstar. I'm like, oh my god, that's a Hardcore Superstar song. Oh my god, that's Crash Diet right there. Ron was probably like, dude, shut the fuck up. I'm like, dude, it's Finland and Sweden, and their bands are amazing.
That's dope. So it's John Cena. What's his show called again? Because I'm always.
It's called Peacemaker. So it was a spin-off show based off his character from the Suicide Squad movie.
Okay, right.
And
I'm sure you heard the news about Hanoi Rocks.
Yeah, the original band getting together for Michael's 60th.
That's right, and he's a Swede, right? Isn't he? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah.
I think Finland. I believe.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But right out of that as well. So no, that's definitely awesome. But no, man, I mean, I loved I loved that we were able to touch on your industrial metal band and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great.
I love that stuff, man, because I love, you know, Ministry, and I've always been huge into Typo Negative, and I love this band Vampires Everywhere, and I was just like, oh, that's awesome. Well, we can definitely talk about goth industrial. I'll keep you on all night.
I love it too. I mean, there's different facets. You know, I'll always have a soft spot for goth and industrial music. You know what I mean? It's still awesome. I love going to those underground clubs and stuff to hear it and be a part of it. I love dressing up like that. You know, it's sick.
Oh, absolutely, for sure, definitely, man. Like, and so from Bow Wow Wow, do you still have like the big Gresh like hollow body guitar?
Yes, I do.
Uh-oh, it's right in arm's reach too. There it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Hold on,
Brian.
1 second.
Okay.
Can you bring it up again?
Oh,
can you?
Yeah, we moved you to the big screen. Nice.
Wow. I should put it up for sale tonight.
Oh, there you go. We're all about that.
Yeah, you know.
Oh wow, over.
Yeah, dude, sound off, fans. Like, Erik, so what is some of the stuff that like you ideally like really like to play? You seem to be a pretty heavy Fender guy, I feel, but you've played pretty much everything.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I have some of my guitars here, but this guitar I used probably the longest. This is like a 1992 Les Paul Studio, which was like at the time the nicest Les Paul I could get my hands on back then. I think.
Wow.
Back when I got it new for probably about $700, which now they're like twice that to buy this level, and then you need thousands to buy like a real Les Paul. But this thing actually sounds awesome. Another guy that uses them is Lando from Slaughter and Vince Neil Band.
Yeah, I love Lando.
He's amazing. And it's funny because he actually plays the same guitar. They tried to buy this one from me, but it sounds amazing. But it's a little difficult to play. It doesn't stay in tune that great. It's pretty beat up. But I've used it for years out with Pearcy just because it always sounded incredible. But I was always having to tune it between songs and all this. And then I did play. I had a Charvel that's actually put away right now, but Michael Charvel built for me. It's an awesome.
It's not a Daddy. I have one of Daddy's Wayne's guitars.
Wayne, yeah, it's a Wayne. It's a Wayne.
Yeah, I have my Wayne.
That's awesome. So yeah, Michael saw me playing a Stephen show up in Paradise, where their factory was, and was impressed that
before it burnt down. Yeah. Oof. Wow. Poor Michael.
He goes, oh, I know. Yeah, they had a terrible fire there, but they built back up and they're doing their thing. But he had wanted to do something different for an idea. So he goes, I want to take fabric and use it instead of painting graphics. Let's put fabric into it and I'll seal it into there and we'll make it a Telecaster. And I was like, all right. So I picked this Universal Studios Monsters fabric. It was kind of like kids' curtains, I think. And I bought fabric and I sent him, and sure enough, he was able to seal it in there. And that was that Tele I used that and this Les Paul for probably a good 15 years in the Pearcy Band. Then I did get a Fender Strat I was using for a minute, but most recently I went with Charvel, and which is the classic Ratt guitar. Warren used those forever, and they've been working out pretty well for this stuff, and I can play a little more aggressively. I'm not having to tune as much. It's got the Floyd Rose whammy bars and everything, which my other guitars didn't have bars on it, but now I'm busting that out, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, nice. The Charvel, is that what you were playing at M3?
Yes, I have. I currently have four Charvels that I'm playing. This is probably the newest of them, with awesome slime green one. Let me see. These are
wait a second, Erik. I got to ask you. So my buddy, is Mr. Adam doing any of your nuts?
Excuse me, sir.
Adam Reaver, FU-tone.
Great man.
We love Adam. Adam touches my nuts all the time.
Is that the FU tone?
Yes.
Yeah, I do have. I don't know him personally yet, but I have ordered some springs and stuff from his shop, and I know that pretty much all the people that play at my scene go to him to get their.
Adam, I don't let anybody touch my locking trem ever. My trem gets it gets enough FU from Adam.
That's right. Yeah, because a lot for me, the springs were kind of squeaky, and they sell these springs that don't squeak, whatever.
Oh yeah, noiseless.
It's been something to figure out, these guitars, because they do, once you start using these Charvel type guitars, super strats, you got to know how to set them up. It's kind of, once you finally figure it out, it's fine. But it took me a little bit to get it going. Even Johnny was helping me with some stuff because he's always used these, but I was still getting used to it. But I got it down now. I'm all set up for these gigs this weekend. It's gonna rock, man.
Nice. Where are you guys at this week?
We're gonna do. We're in Minnesota. We're in Hinckley, Minnesota for Rocktoberfest, and this will be headlined by Jackal. It's got Stephen Pearcy, Quiet Riot, Madam X, also Autograph.
Wow. Yeah, we love Jimmy.
Isn't he cool? What a sweet guy.
I love Jimmy Bell. We love Jimmy Bell.
And he kicks ass, man. He's so good.
Yeah.
I'm happy to very happy to be.
Yeah. I got a ton of fan questions that.
No, absolutely, Angel. Let's
go
definitely
for it, Angel. Yeah, sorry, man.
Sure. No, because fans, we're going to get to all the. We're definitely going to get to all the fan questions. We want to be respectful of Erik's time, so I am going to hit fans. I'm going to hit you guys with last call for alcohol when it comes to your fan questions. Don't be shy though. Get them in there. We will get to all of them for sure. But being that Erik's out there on the West Coast, we definitely don't want to drain too much of his evening.
Yep.
So it is last call, guys. But go ahead and sling those comments, and we're going to get some question time right now with Erik. So Angel, take it away, bud.
In 138 shows, this is the first time I've ever seen this question. What was the most common feedback from teachers in your school reports?
Oh, common feedback. Teachers that never understood me, especially in high school. For one, I was actually like a straight A student probably until about eighth or ninth grade. Then by 10th grade, I started playing guitar and kind of growing my hair out and wearing Metallica t-shirts. And they just kind of, I guess, they were a little too judgmental of me and just figured I was kind of a wastoid guy. I ended up actually getting kicked out of high school, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. It's not something I tell everybody, but I actually never even graduated school. But whatever.
Did you get your GED?
No, I was like, nobody even asked. Like, in all the jobs I ever had, I just said I graduated, but I never did.
Yeah. That's just like me. I just tell everybody, yeah, I'm straight.
I mean,
I'm only getting.
not so.
Any new music coming out from yourself or the Stephen Pearcy Band?
Right. We are going to have his sixth solo album will be coming out, but the first album that's going to be coming out on Golden Robot is going to be something he's doing specifically, which is called Legacy, Stephen Pearcy Legacy, and that's going to have a lot of like unreleased versions of songs. It's a compilation of his whole life. I think there's going to be maybe a few songs on there that he and I did that didn't make it on the record. But the solo album will be coming out after that. So the solo album will be probably like next spring of 2023.
Cool.
And I'm excited for it too. And, as I was talking about earlier, I don't always know, what's going to be the songs till we get in there to do it. I mean, I always have a bag of tricks for him to pull into, and songs that I've worked on for the last couple of years. So I know we have the material. It'll just be interesting to see which ones we go with. And then it'll be just as we usually do it. He's also in Vegas now. So I'm trying to figure out if he's going to come to Burbank again to do it, or if we're going to do something out there, if I'm going to have to go to Vegas to do it. But I'll be ready either way.
Erik, any Christmas songs? Have you guys ever thought about doing a Ratt type Christmas album?
We talked about that. He did Santa Over by a Reindeer, I think, that's out there. But we always wanted to do that because they do really well monetarily speaking. But the thing is, you got to record it in like the summertime.
I did one, and you only have to do one once. That's it. And they keep selling. It's like Dean Martin. It's just, it's the gift that keeps giving.
People, I would like to, now that you mention it again, like I would like to do a Christmas song with Stephen. It's like figuring out which one to do, but we should do one. I agree.
Well, you figure, look, if Halford can do one, if Twisted can do it, Stephen, can really do justice for, and it would be badass to hear him do a kick-ass classic, just to go out and do it very Stephen.
That's true. No, I will hit him up about doing that for this, maybe even this Christmas. We'll see. It would be nice to have a rockin' Christmas.
Yeah, whatever it is, and something that would freak the audience out and going, if Stephen and you guys took it from left field, that everybody just went, that's effing way, oh my God, baby,
that's
it's
easy,
cold
Bobby.
Outside or whatever.
Mistress for Christmas. Bobby, Mistress for Christmas.
No, you got to go with something deep. Look, Santa Baby. I would love to hear Stephen do something like that, just wrong and dirty.
He could do that with Mistress for Christmas.
We could all use a Mistress for Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
No arguments here. Go ahead, Angel. I saw one pop up a second ago.
Question from Jeannie. What bands have you worked with, and at what age did you start touring?
The first touring I ever did was with Stephen, and I got the gig for him when I was 27 years old.
Wow.
So I'm going to be 50 at the end of November. So, but most of my touring experience has been with him. The band 13A, we did a couple of shows in Mexico, but we didn't really like get out of San Diego, nor did the other bands I was in. The only other national bands I played in was a band called Earshot that was on Warner Brothers, and then Bow Wow Wow. Otherwise, the Anti-Division that I was in did get to tour opening for Stephen Pearcy. Like, I did a double duty situation where I would go out and do the show with these guys that I brought out to play with me, and then I would come back out later and play a guitar for Stephen. That was in like 2007. But yeah, the bands would just be Earshot, Bow Wow Wow, and Pearcy for the most part is my national touring experience.
And Amy wants to know your favorite 3 Aerosmith songs.
My favorite 3 Aerosmith songs. Jeez.
Oh God, dig deep in the catalog.
Yeah, maybe
Such
no
a
more.
huge catalog.
No more.
No more. Yeah.
Mama Can. What else? Janie's Got a Gun.
Nice.
Aerosmith has so many amazing songs. That's pretty hard. Those are 3 that come to mind right away. But like, I always like casually loved Aerosmith growing up because they were on the radio. But really got into them touring with Pearcy. You know, when we would be on the road for days at a time, like we would have Frankie play DJ or whatever. He always had the Aerosmith going and Zeppelin. I really got into the deep cuts from these bands. Those are some of the best times, besides playing the shows, just the traveling. And
so, Eric, I got to ask you, Draw the Line or Rocks? Which album? Right? Everybody goes Toys in the Attic, but I'm going to go Draw the Line or Rocks.
I would, I'm going to go Draw the Line. Not to go against your
Kings and Queens. Yeah, some good. Look, 2 of my favorite albums right there.
So you're going to see Aerosmith tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm with Tom in the morning. I'm interviewing Tom and Brad. I have a 12 o'clock meeting with them.
That's awesome.
Nice. Bobby, give my love to Brad. I interviewed him.
Yeah, it's great. So it was supposed to be with Joey, but it's John Douglas is playing drums for this gig.
Right. So Eddie Kramer. No, what's his name? The drummer? He's not
Joey.
All right,
Joey. Yeah, Joey's not doing it right now. So there's a couple things, going on. And Extremes open up tomorrow night. K-Fig's around here. He's bopping around, so I'm trying to get him to jump on for a minute. But
it's interesting. It's kind of similar to the ZZ Top situation, but what I mean is just obviously not the death part, but it's Aerosmith's drum tech like it was Dusty Hill's bass tech.
Right.
Yeah.
Duty.
That worked for ZZ Top. Somehow that was smooth. And, with the drums, people don't notice that as much.
Yeah, but look, you got to know Joey had that groove. He and Tom really, it's that thing when you hear it. I mean, it's for yourself. Look,
sure,
it's the engine behind the machine. It's that push pull. It's that thing there.
To create, for sure, that's a big part of it. But like once the albums are written, there's always those musicians out there that can pull off anybody's stuff, that get hired by the big bands in these situations, and it's still a great show. But I'm just glad to hear that Joe Perry's out playing again. I know the band I was talking about that I was in the 90s, Voodoo, the singer, Andy Milner, works for Johnny Depp. And he gets to take care of Johnny's friends when they're in town. I know Joe stayed there for a while when he was on the mend. And it's just good to hear that he's back out playing, because I didn't even know if that was going to ever happen,
Hey, Eric, real quick, have you ever done any of the whiskey gigs, any of the, the rock jams there? I've been there a couple times with Pinnock and everybody.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if you ever sat in for any of those gigs up there.
No, I've played the Whiskey a ton of times, but no, I never was asked to go and do that. But that would also be kind of inconvenient too, because I live down in Oceanside, which is like North County, San Diego, so that would be kind of a journey to go play one song or whatever. But and also I kind of want the full attention, I don't want to like go in and share that with like a bunch of other people or whatever.
You live close to my buddies Mark and Janet. They live right in that area.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. I never thought to move up to LA. I always thought it was really, I don't want to say anything bad about it, but I'm just more, this is kind of where I grew up for the most part, and I plan to stay here as long as I can. And I'm fortunate to live in Oceanside right by the beach. It's just been so rad.
So I got to ask you this. So look, I'm a skater. I grew up with TA and J Boy and everybody, and I skated with them. Do you skate?
Do I skate? I do. Wait, check this out.
I get to see Eric's wood. Dude, I love. Oh my God! I was going to ask you about your wood earlier, but that's.
I do skate.
Dude, I've been skating since '75. I skated with everybody from Hosoi to, and I still do. And Alva just turned 63, so I do a lot with Steve Van Dorn. So yeah, Dave Duncan.
Awesome, man. That's great.
Yeah, I'm not just a pretty face who can, tickle the ivory.
Awesome.
I had to ask you when you kept saying that. I'm going, wait a second. He skates. He's got that. I'm like, he's got that look like F you. I'm climbing your fence and I'm going to go into your ditch. I'm jumping in and skating your pool.
Yeah, that's kind of the Southern California lifestyle. We were always able to skate all year round here. That's
well, you think about it back then. Look, the greatest thing about that whole period back then, not even just the hair bands and everything, but it was really that California was the epicenter of really starting the counterculture of the punk, the skate, the this, the that, and you guys really, kept it, and that it gyrated into the music. It really just kept the whole thing going.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, definitely for punk rock too. I mean, certainly, punk rock was the choice music, I think, for skating. To my recollection, anyway, growing up. But
well, Agent Orange, there was
right.
a lot of the bands, but it was all the aggressive end. But then you had a lot of the hardcore skater metal stuff that came out too during then. Well, look at Anthrax and everything, all the speed thrash metal, everything that came out during that. All the decks and everything that came out in that whole period.
Yeah,
I grabbed more towards those bands that you mentioned. Punk rock's awesome, and I almost appreciate it more today than I did back then. But when I was growing up, the real punk rock sounded not that great. Like the recordings weren't good. The guitar playing was typically not that great. To where like I was more enamored by the heavy metal playing. Especially when I started playing guitar. I definitely played a lot of Metallica. It was probably one of my favorite bands to play their songs when I was learning how to play.
Well, let me throw it back into the whole thrash end of this end, going into the Testament end, and going into, oh my God, the Trujillo, when all that period was coming in, and the angst back then.
Right. Yeah, it did get pretty angsty there. And I loved going to those shows too. I got to see, I saw Metallica at Monsters of Rock at the LA Coliseum, which a lot of these cool shows that I've seen in my life, you can actually see on YouTube. You can go and they have, but when Metallica was put on the bill for that was pretty amazing. I saw the Justice for All tour also at Irvine Meadows. That's up on there. Testament, I used to play when they'd come down here. We used to have a place called the California Theater that they would headline and tear the place up. And yeah, those were amazing times. And definitely I got my guitar chops playing that stuff. But you know, the 80s rock, like the, you know, Ratt and bands like that were even more difficult to play than the thrash metal stuff, you know. But so that, you know, but I ended up getting it.
Nice.
And I love the past thing that you brought out of Vision Deck. You know, look, I grew up with Gator when Gator, look,
Right.
When Gator was in, oh my God, he killed his girlfriend, put her in a surf bag.
Right.
He was in what you call its video. He was skating a half pipe.
That's right. Mike McGill still has his skate shop here in Lucadia and Sanitas. You know, Tony Hawk's around. And you know, he used to, God, the only ramp that I knew of was like Tony Hawk's ramp back in the 80s. Like the kids nowadays got it pretty good. They actually, by the late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of skate parks popped up that are legitimately put up by the city and whatever.
Dude, when NAMM comes, I'm the only guy at NAMM who's up at 8 a.m. skating Etnies and Vans and at Huntington Beach. I'm skating bowls and pool, and look, I broke my hip on my
Yeah,
birthday.
seriously. Yeah. How did NAMM treat you last time there, Bobby?
But, you know, dude, we are going out skating. You know, you're gonna tell me, does Pearcy bitch at you going, you can't skate if you break your arm and this?
Well,
bitch, you better pad up.
I haven't been to the skate parks as of lately, but yeah, the older you get, you do have to kind of watch out a little bit. But I'm the guy who like goes skates to get the mail, skate down to the pier. You know, I try to just get outside and get some exercise. I got back into it probably more in the shutdown, I think, was when I was like,
I was out at Venice Beach a couple months ago, and I'm like sitting out there. I'm like skating like a grandfather in the bowl, and they're like, dude, I'm like padded up. I look like I should have bubble wrap on me.
Oh, okay.
And I get the kid who's like doing a 920 off. I'm like going, fuck yourself, you know.
So Bobby, let me jump in on this real quick because I got to kick it back to Angel because we need to clear the board of all the.
All right, yeah, we got to get.
Before I kick it over to Angel, just because Erik, you mentioned seeing Metallica on the Monsters of Rock for Injustice for All. So you saw them with Jason, but did you ever get to see them with Cliff?
No, unfortunately not. I wanted to go to those concerts. Like I would have loved to see Ozzy Osbourne. I didn't get to until the Rest for the Wicked tour. Well, I was going to say, yeah, wait, you asked me about
Cliff Burton. Yeah. So you had mentioned that you saw Metallica on the Injustice for All with Jason Newsted. So I was just curious if you saw them with Cliff.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I spaced out for a second. Yeah, but at the time, Metallica, when they were with Cliff, they were opening for Ozzy, right? They hadn't like headlined anything.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to see those before. And I'm thinking about Ozzy for a second. I'm like, I do remember seeing No Rest for, but my parents weren't like super into letting me go to that kind of stuff. Like, but by the time I was in like 9th grade, I was just kind of going on my own. Like I didn't care anymore. I'm like, I was so into metal, and it couldn't stop me from like going to concerts. My parents, I distinctly remember calling my mom payphone at school and going, listen, I know you told me I can't go to this show, but I'm going anyway. It's Judas Priest Painkiller tour. Slayer's opening up, and I'm going. You know, and I took like the city bus down there to go. So from about 1988 on, I pretty much saw everything. But previous to that, I wasn't really allowed to even go to see shows yet. So I was a little too young for that. To see Cliff.
I got you, brother. Angel, let's kick it over to you, man, and let's clear the board of whatever we got left for the fans.
What are your two most liked Ratt songs that are not in the set list?
Geez, that are not in the set list. Probably City to City, maybe.
Nice.
Yes, love that one.
Gosh, I'll have to think. In Your Direction, but we are gonna add that in.
Nice.
Yeah.
And your first concert?
Ooh.
Well, I guess it depends. I mean, the first concert I saw that I wanted to go see ended up being Def Leppard on the Hysteria tour with Tesla opening. That was like the first show that I remember getting, specifically wanting to. My parents did take me to that too, if I recall. But I think the first concert I ever saw was actually Kool and the Gang at like Six Flags in New Jersey or something like that.
Wow. Wow, you lived so you were up in the Jersey area.
Yeah, I did. My family, I was born in New Jersey. I was born Englewood Cliffs Hospital. My grandparents had a diner in Jersey City that they ran through the 60s and 70s. And then I moved to a farm. Yeah. Who we got?
Here we go. We got a little bit of Dirty Marriage on here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Bad Marriage. What's going on, guys?
Hey, what's up, Mike? How are you?
Chilling.
Yo, Mike.
Nice to jump on with you guys. It's really cool.
Hey.
What's up, Mike?
We were talking.
Going on, guys?
Erik and I were talking about, Monsters and everything, and how you guys just killed it down there. And being one of the new bands, Bad Marriage kicked my ass across stage. And just saying, what you guys were doing there is tremendous. And we love the stuff that you're doing. And Erik was talking about the kudos of, Stephen and that. And I was like, dude, wow.
That blows my mind because, Erik, we just played with you guys twice before the mountain. I don't know if you remember that. We did it once in Mass and once in New York.
Yeah, I do remember. You guys kicked ass both times, and I was like I was saying earlier, it's such a breath of fresh air when they get a cool kick-ass rock band to open the show. It really gets everybody in the mood, and it just adds to the whole greatness of the night. And you guys kicked ass both times.
Oh, dude, I appreciate it. We were so psyched to be on that, and long story short, we were added super last minute to the cruise last year because a bunch of bands were canceling because of either COVID restrictions and shit like that. And we were doing some touring for the past couple of years with Tesla. And so Brian Wheat, who's a buddy of mine, got us to get on that cruise 5 days before. And I think that's what led to us getting on the mountain. So it was just a crazy turn of events. So we were pumped to do that stuff, man.
Yeah, I was saying, if Pearcy does a headline a tour or something, you guys should definitely get on there.
Yeah, dude, we would fucking shit if that could happen. You got, dude, I collect old concert T-shirts. That's like my vice, other than like Marshall amps and Les Pauls and shit. But I got a lot of cool Rat ones. My wife does too.
That's sick.
Yeah, we got some badass old ones.
That's awesome for sure. Yeah. Fuck yeah, dudes. Angel, let's kick back up to you, buddy.
What do you like to do in your downtime?
My dad. Probably writing music probably takes up the most of my time. But then just domestic stuff. You know what I mean? I have I'm in the sickest pad right now, and it's right on the Strand by the beach. So we have a really nice patio out there. I started growing herbs and plants and stuff. So do some gardening out there. Enjoy the beach for the most part. As I was saying earlier, I'd skate in the day, try to exercise. So just kind of doing the beach life right now, and loving it. So downtime is here at the beach, at the harbor, Oceanside, California. And my that know me on my Facebook or Instagram, they know I'm a cat guy, and I got my two cats, Kylie and Charles. So they see a lot of photos of them.
Your favorite MSD songs, Misfits,
Sam,
Sondheim,
yeah,
and
Sam.
Danzig.
My favorite Misfits song.
Yeah, it's Brian's asking what's your favorite song from the Misfits, Sam Hain, and Danzig?
Oh my God. I'm not as familiar with the Sam Hain stuff, but you know, I don't know. Darling, probably one of my favorite Misfits songs.
Last Caress.
Everything that Metallica did, they turned me on probably back in the day.
Cliff was a big Misfits guy.
Yeah. So I loved all the songs, the covers that Metallica did. And then with Danzig, I would say Twisted Cain.
Nice.
Yeah.
For ones, of course, you know, Mother. Yeah.
What's the one we like? She Rides. Yeah, I like that tune. She Rides.
Yeah.
Last time I saw Danzig, he was playing How the Gods Kill in its entirety. So he was playing Dirty Black Summer and all those great songs.
Oh yeah, shit, I love that song.
Yeah, dude.
Have you ever been to Toronto?
Yes. I have. We go to Canada pretty frequently, but just everything with the mandates and Trudeau, it's like we just had to cancel a Canada show over that, you know, because we're just not compliant, man. You know.
Quiet, I love it.
Is it hard to adjust to? Is it hard to adjust to new members joining the Pearcy Band?
It is. I mean that. Because that starts to affect the set list. You know, it's like, what songs does this guy know on drums, or what guitar player know, or so it can affect like what material we do and whatnot. It takes a little time to kind of work. I mean, it's probably more difficult for them coming in, but yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge, and it's always better if you have the same lineup for longer. It's less work involved. I personally hate rehearsing. Sometimes when you get new guys, you have to go rehearse, and that's
Learn your shit. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
This ain't practice.
That's right. Yeah.
Mike will tell you that.
You've been playing for 30 or 40 years. You really have to get together with the band. Can't you just do it on your own time and be great? I don't know.
That's funny.
Your favorite guitar to play?
My favorite guitar to play. Well, I played my Les Paul for the longest. I mean, I have the most, years on that thing, and it was always comfortable. But I'm getting more comfortable with these Charvels now at these gigs. So currently, it's the Charvel San Dimas.
Who would you like to collaborate with?
I don't put too much thought into that. There's times I thought I might be collaborating with some people in our circle and what have you, but things happen and that doesn't happen or whatever. But I don't have a straight answer for that for you at the moment. There's not
Me
somebody.
Sorry. Sorry.
That's all right. What was your first? What was your first band called?
Oh, what was my first band called? The Broken Smokes.
And what was it like musically?
It was just us playing covers. I think we played at our junior high in 9th grade, and we did some Metallica, Megadeth songs. I think we played For Whom the Bell Tolls and Seek and Destroy. We did Megadeth's version of the Sex Pistols song, Anarchy. Okay.
Yeah.
And we didn't even have a singer. I think we just had 2 guitars and drums, but that music was so cool that they still loved it. The kids loved it. And so that's the very first band I ever played in was just friends from school. And then the first band that played a gig, we were called Poor White Trash. And then that band turned into Voodoo because we needed a name. And Stephen, I knew by that point, and he was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "You know what you should call your band? Voodoo." because it's like weird STD or something. It's like you got some voodoo down there. I know I did gross and didn't even make sense. I was like, whatever, okay. we ended up calling the band Voodoo, and ended up having some regional success or what have you. But those are my first bands.
Is there any musician or band that you would like to tour with if you got the chance?
Oh, yeah. Again, I mean, pretty much, any of the 80s bands I'm cool with. And of course, any new bands that, sound like that, too. But after all these years of playing, like, I kind of know all these bands. I'd be cool with any of them. One of the most fun things we ever did was a tour with Wasp. I don't know if any of your listeners saw that, but in 2005, it was Wasp, Stephen Pearcy, and LA Guns.
Okay. And just a fan from Jersey sends a quick hello from Tommy Rice. He actually met you in Clark, New Jersey.
I know Tommy. He's a cool dude on my social media and stuff. What's up, brother?
That's awesome, man. That's sick.
Bobby, can I ask Erik a question?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Go for it, Mike.
So when I saw you guys sound check a bunch of times, and again, this is just a fan listening to you guys. You obviously, Steve's not there to do the vocals, most of the time and you're the guy that does all that. Do you look forward to that because it's you singing Steven's parts because you're checking his mic and stuff? I think it's really fucking cool. But I always wonder. I'm like, dude, is he like, oh God, I got to do this again? Or are you like it? You know what I mean?
No, I don't hate it, but I mean, honestly, it would be cool if Steven was at sound check, because that way we could get.
Wait, was that a little bit of drama in that voice there, Erik? Did I hear?
Well,
if Steven was, I'm like, that was a little drawn out there, buddy.
It's tough call. Is there? It's like the sound check a little more stressful, and he's kind of like annoyed to be there, and a lot of times, so it's like maybe better if he's not there.
Right.
For point in his career, the best thing is for him to be relaxing in a room somewhere, relaxing for the show later. He knows that I can handle that stuff for him, so that's just kind of how we do it. I go and there's a couple different songs. I'll usually sound check, lay it down or something like that, where I could sing it and play it, and just kind of get a idea where the mic levels are, but. Nothing ever, as Mike here knows, nothing ever sounds the same when you go back out there later anyway.
And right? empty venues and full are just so different.
Yeah, it is a big difference. And sound checks change. They're fun. They suck. It's always good sound checks, and they really drain you. I would like to do a Stevens in my room, relaxing.
Yeah, I know.
They can take hours if the people are having problems there, the production, or they don't know what they're doing. There's some sound checks that are real quick and we can get in there and they're all ready for us, everything's set up. But then there's most of the other ones where you show up and the drums aren't even set up yet, on the stage. Right. You're going to be here for about 3 hours.
I'm going to throw this out to the both of you right before we end. And, it was a question I had at the college and even at Berkeley today. And a student even asked me, these mega tours, when you go out, when it's bands like yourself, how do you guys deal with that when there's 30 bands on a day and they're pushing you out like, Chick-fil-A?
Well, that's fine by me. I mean, usually in those situations, they have a more gather crew working on those things, and they have it set up in such a way where one band's over on the side, like Monsters on the Mountain was probably the most recent one we did like this. They actually had kind of two stages where one band's setting up while the other band's playing, and that kind of keeps things moving a little faster.
Yeah, but what about your sound? I mean, when you have so many bands, even the cruise ships and everything else, it even amazes me. How do you guys keep from losing your shit? Go, I know our sound.
Oh, get angry or lose it? Yeah, I lose my shit figuratively and literally. No, I yell at people sometimes, like when I'm in the heat of the moment, and they, God, there was some gig we just did recently where I was really specific. Like, I'm pretty easy too. Like, I don't need much. I like only want to hear my vocal out of my monitor, and that's it. Just me. That's it. It's a pretty simple request. But like we were doing this gig, and the guy had like everybody but me coming out of the monitor. Like, that's worse. That kind of thing freaks me out. You know what I mean? And then I have to like run over there and probably yell at the guy, which I don't like to have to do, but it happens when I'm in the moment. I might yell at you.
For sure.
I mean, do you guys have like resting bitch face at like the guys who are there? You know?
Bobby, speaking for a bad marriage, we're just so, I don't want to say young, but we're not a headliner, you know, so we're just so used to, I have the guys trained to like assume the worst, you know, and it's like if we sound good one night and we don't the next, it's just, you know, because we can't, you know, we don't travel with a sound, you know, front of house guy, and we're hoping that the house engineer gives a shit, you know, and the higher the better the venues, it seems to, you know, people like their job. That's the way I think of it, you know. The smaller the clubs it's tough, you know.
Right. Yeah, bringing a sound guy. I mean, we've done it, but you know, in some cases they're not as familiar with the set, especially in clubs and stuff, and they end up like our guy will blow up the PA. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's also another guy you got to deal with out there. He's another guy you got to buy plane tickets for and all these things where you're just that they got enough front of house guy to do it. There's little things that I've kind of actually changed recently. Like I started using like a boost pedal for my solos because you can't count on them to like bring you up.
Yeah.
But if you're like Bad Marriage or you're a rock band, you don't need too much. You guys don't do tapes, background shit.
No.
Yeah. We're like a real rock band, and so we can throw and go and get through the gig. You know?
Right.
You're not doing Nikki Sixx taping your bass? What?
Oh man.
Oh wait. Stop, Bobby. No, Nikki played his bass live. Yeah, sure he did.
Yeah, there's funky stuff that's always kind of gone on. I think some of the bands out there, but for better or worse, you're hearing us, the real instruments. It would probably sound better, I'm sure, if we did have all the canned vocals. Try to do it the best we can. There's been times where it's just kind of me being the only background guy. I do the best I can do, but as it stands now, you know, we got, you know, Scott Coogan's a great singer. Obviously, John Longo sang it Enough's Enough. So we're actually like kind of pulling off some of the cool studio the record. We have capacity to do that right now. So we got some great singers.
And Mike, before you guys go out, look, you guys really did. Kudos to you. You kicked my ass across the stage, and Erik brought it up tonight. You guys are, you know, look, everything you guys are doing, keep doing what you're doing. You're paying your dues, and it's great. We look forward to having you guys on Bad Marriage on here on Metal Summit, and we'll do a whole thing. And Erik, thank you for giving them props tonight.
Yeah. Definitely. No, I've said it in other interviews too. You know, Bad Marriage. It's cool to see a younger band keeping it alive like that. Again, like I can't get behind most of the music out there. It was cool to see the shows for sure.
Sweet, dude. Yeah, Rick, I'd like to stay in touch with you. You know, maybe on Facebook or something. Cause I don't even know if we're on there. And
I just started finally too at Erik Ferentinos, so people, you know, definitely find me on there too.
Yeah, I'll find you on there.
Get
Absolutely.
that horror movie too. We're gonna pump. Jay and I are gonna be pushing that movie out. Where's that copy at? Check that.
1 second. I got to do the big screen. Hold on.
I'm telling you, Erik, that's going to be your new thing. You're going to be, people are going to be, that's going to blow up. You're going to.
There he is.
Halloween's coming. Everybody needs to get a copy of that.
Damn right they should. Because, dude, if you're into like kind of campy but splatter fun, like Dead Alive used to be, then you're gonna like Dead and Breakfast.
Yes.
if you like that kind of stuff. Angel, let me kick it back to you real quick before I shut it down with Erik. I got one more thing to ask, but I looked like we had a question pop up.
Yeah, just gonna knock out the last 4 questions. You mentioned a few bands from the Pacific Northwest. Did you like that stuff from the Northwest?
From the Northwest? I don't know. We're talking about the music
specific. Yeah, the music scene.
Oh, like the Northwest, like the Seattle scene, or are they talking about?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was like an interesting time. The 90s. Obviously I mentioned, that I loved, the heavy metal of the 80s and everything. And then the 90s got kind of sad and depressing. And there was some good music in there. I did love Alice in Chains from up there. But, and I was okay with Nirvana. Some people, bag on them.
I was a Cornell guy, though. I love Chris.
Garden. Like, I kind of accepted that was going to be as heavy as we were going to get, at that time. I could take it or leave it. I mean, I could see that there was kind of a change happening back then or what have you. But I was still young at the time. I was, I turned 18 in like 1990 or something. So it was still the soundtrack of my youth too. So it was all right. I don't have a problem with any of that stuff.
If you were in a hot tub time machine, where would you go?
Oh, that's a good question. I would go back to the 50s.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah. It just seemed like better times all around, man. It just everything was made well and worked well. Everybody had like a decent job and could like afford a house, one salary.
And nobody knew your damn business.
Yeah, it was just, women were at home cooking food and taking care of the kids. And, it's a different world we're living in today, man. But I wouldn't have minded. I think that would have been awesome to grow up in the 50s. I think that would have been.
And they had great cars back then.
The cars.
Think about it. They had great cars.
They had awesome cars. And, but then, it would have been cool, too, to have been a part of the late 60s, early 70s rock scene. If I could have been, old enough to have been a part of that, would have been amazing also. But I was around, I was born in 72, so I still have my childhood, memories of that stuff. But it would always be cool to go back as the guitar player I am now and be a part of that. Would be awesome in a time machine.
And when are you coming to Jersey? Yep, I'll make that one to find.
We did play Atlantic City not too long ago, like probably a month. I'm sorry you missed us, but I'm sure we'll be back. Jersey.
Well, I'm working on the bad marriage thing. We're trying to,
I know Australia. Australia.
We'll be there.
Nobody's got money to go to Australia.
No, but I know it's a long way down. But they got a promoter.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
That's right. As long as Bulls are play there.
Absolutely, 100%. Angel, do we have any more, buddy?
Let me see. Because I know I'm gonna get killed. Oh, what's the feeling like being on stage with the crowd singing along to the songs? And Mike, you can answer that question as well.
That's the part that makes all the BS worthwhile. Because this job is a lot of traveling, being tired and not getting sleep and all that. But for that little bit of time that you're up there, means everything. And when you're having a moment with the crowd, when they're actually singing along, everybody there, that's the best feeling in the whole entire world.
All right, I got to ask this question. It's for you and Mike, and it goes with that one. Did you ever get the person in the front row where you just want to go, shut the fuck up, you can't sing?
Well, nobody really knows the words to the Bad Marriage song. So, I'm not going to tell them to shut up if they start singing for a while. So
But you're like sitting there going, you're in the key of F. That's the wrong note.
When I watched filmed videos of our show, we're like, oh, this guy's at a good spot in the audience. This is going to be great. And then all of a sudden it's totally out of key. And there's people singing around the camera that like make it. It's like, I don't know if you guys ever watched those hilarious videos on YouTube, like, Ozzy Shreds or the Shreds videos. If you're not familiar, you got to type in some of these, like Ozzy Shreds, another one, Billy Squire Shreds. Where this guy actually like swaps the audio out and does his own goofy, funny stuff. It's like, it's so hilarious. Your fans got to go on. The audience has to go on and listen to some of these. The Billy Squire one's the most hilarious thing you'll ever see. Billy Squire.
Yeah, I really want to know what you guys hear on stage, and you just go, and you got that smile, and you're just going, shut the fuck up.
It usually sounds terrible on stage. To be honest, like it's so directional, you know what I mean? If I'm near my amp, I'm hearing my amp.
No,
we try some kind of, whatever. I try. We have like depending on the size gig we're doing. If it's a bigger gig, they have the side fills. We try to get the monitors in such a way we can kind of enjoy ourselves up there. But a lot of times we're just kind of hoping it sounds better out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. Hell yeah, anytime, Lisa. We appreciate your continued love and support. And so we're gonna cut you guys loose, Erik. We want you to be able to enjoy your night, but just as a fun one to kind of throw at you, because you and I were talking a little off the air. If you're not out on the road and you're not, out on tour, Erik, how do you spend your Halloween?
Oh, how would I spend my Halloween? Well, I do have my girlfriend Susie. I know we've been going out the last couple of Halloweens. We've gotten dressed up and usually go to try to see somewhere that maybe has live music or something like that. We'll probably do the same thing this year. But I feel like this year everybody's ready for a killer Halloween. Like,
yeah,
I'm seeing stuff in the stores. People are ready for Halloween, man, 2022. So we're definitely go out. We'll probably, we don't go out too far. We'll probably go locally out here and get dressed up and go get band players.
Nice, right on. Mike, if you're not out playing shows or if you're not out on tour, how do you spend Halloween?
Dude, we love Halloween. So it's like we had a huge Halloween party last year, but we're like, there's still things we haven't really cleaned up from last year. So we're gonna hope to go somewhere, whether it's someone else's house or, like you said, a bar with a cool music and, something like that. Hey,
that's awesome. I'm actually like super duper stoked this year because for the first time, at least that I can remember, I think ever, I'm actually getting to go to a show on Halloween that's like my local show of a band that like I actually give a fuck about. Like, don't get me wrong, I've been to some amazing shows on Halloween. Like, I've seen Arch Enemy. I love Arch Enemy. I think Elisa is a fantastic front woman. Her longtime boyfriend now, Doyle from the Misfits. I've always loved the Misfits. But I love Arch Enemy. They were playing with Trivium. It was a great time. But this year on Halloween in D.C. is this band I love called Blitzkid. And from anybody who's watched our show, I brought on my friend Goolsby, who is the bass and the singer of Blitzkid. And so on Halloween night in DC, I'm actually going to get to go to a show of a band I've been a huge fan of. So I'm like super stoked to just enjoy the show, hang out with my friends, and drink to not feel feelings anymore. Like, so that's definitely going to be a good one for sure. And Brian, if you're still watching, just because I wanted to let you know from when you put up your Misfits Sanheim Danzig question, Brian, in case you didn't already know, Erik's bass player right now in Stephen Pearcy's band is Jerry, formerly of the Danzig band. So if you didn't know that, Brian, you should go check that out because Jerry's in the Pearcy band right now. But Erik, man, thank you so much for kicking it with us for a couple of hours, man.
This is great.
That was a lot of fun.
Awesome. That's always our big thing, man, is that you had a good time and that you enjoyed yourself and that you felt this was worth your time.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. It was great to see you again, Jay. Like I said, we haven't seen each other since M3. So nice surprise. And I'm stoked you had me on, man. I hope you guys have me on again.
We sure will.
Oh,
Absolutely,
dude,
brother.
great.
I mean, we've got
Mike-
each other's numbers. We'll do a better job keeping in touch, man, and we'll definitely hang out and stuff like that. And
This is
Mike,
great.
thanks for popping on, man, and having a little bit of
Mike.
fun with us at the end.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, best of
Hey,
luck.
Mike,
Best of luck, brother.
Mike, if you're free tomorrow, come on down. You know, I'm right here.
You going to-
Fenway's right behind me.
Are you going to see Aerosmith and Extreme?
Yeah, everybody's here. I'm at the hotel. Everybody's here right now.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah, we'll see. We can get some last minute. We're going to see, we like Airborne. We're going to see them on Sunday. They're playing in Boston.
Oh, nice.
Oh, very cool. Love those guys for sure. And we love you guys, Metal Summoners. Thank you guys so much. Get out there and support Bobby. He just released his new website, bobbydreyer.com. You see it right there. Make sure that you're supporting Mike and everything that Bad Marriage has got going on.
Yes.
Make sure that you're supporting Erik. Get out to his Instagram, his Facebook, see where Stephen Pearcy's playing live, and get out
Get
there.
that video.
Well, we got cooped up for 2 years, and now we've got live music back. And for a little bit of love to myself, fans, you know I'm involved in that horror competition right now for Faces of Horror. So go out to the Metal Summit pages and my personal pages. It's a marathon. I need you guys to vote every day so I can win this thing. But show a little bit of love my way so I can do this photo shoot with Kane Hodder because I really want to do it. We appreciate you guys so much. And of course, absolutely support Psycho Steve with everything he's doing and Angel with everything that he's doing as well.
Yeah.
Guest announcement later this week, guys, and we'll be back next week with a brand new episode of the Metal Summit. We appreciate you guys. And on behalf of the Metal Summit, for Bobby, for Angel, for myself, and for Steve, we appreciate Mike, and we especially appreciate Erik for being on with us tonight. We love you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Take care of each other and have a great weekend. As always,
Later.
the Metal Summit.
All right. See you guys.
Later,
Take care,
guys.
brother.